Hey, Kyle here from GuestGetter. You just grabbed the restaurant growth planner, which means that you are serious about actually knowing your restaurant's growth numbers instead of guessing. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use this and, more importantly, read what the numbers are telling you. So let's dive in. So this is the restaurant growth planner. You'll see that there are several tabs at the bottom, but the most important one is the first tab, the growth planner. The sandy yellow colored cells are the only ones that you need to put anything into because the rest get automatically calculated for you. So we got these main sections. It's all meant to be like a bird's eye view of your restaurant's math. So your revenue, where you are and where you want to be so that you have a clear target, the economics, food cost, labor cost, what you keep per guest, your capacity, so seats, hours, how full you are. And there's also this handy toggle depending on your model. If you're a full service restaurant or if you're a quick service restaurant, or some of our clients are like a bit of a hybrid. Guest behavior, how often your guests are coming back, your marketing, so what you're spending and what you're paying per guest. Now, let's get right into this and see how it all works together. So revenue, let's say that you're currently at 80K a month, right? And you want to be at 100K. Your average check, what does a guest spend on average? Let's say it's $80. Right away, the calculator shows us your gap, 20K. It also shows you the gap in terms of how many additional guests you need to reach that target. Now let's look at the economics. So food cost tends to be between like 28 and 32. We'll just say 30%. We'll say the same for labor. And then fixed costs, things like your rent, insurance, the stuff that doesn't change, let's say 25K. And this gives us your contribution margin. So this is what you actually keep from each guest after food and labor. In this case, 40% or $32. Now, this number down here, the first visit value, this is important because it means that on day one, before the guest ever comes back, you're making $32 from that guest. That $32 is your break even. It is what you have to play with in your marketing to achieve your target. If you can acquire a guest for $32 or less, you're profitable on their first visit, which means you have a recipe that you can scale up to reach your target. Now, for guest behavior, I'm just going to put in some numbers here. Let's say that your visits per year are 6, customer lifespan, let's say it's 3 years, and the return rate, will say the number of people who return in 30 days is 40%. And then that gives you your lifetime value per guest. All right, now in the marketing spot, this is what most calculators don't ask you, right? It's your actual CPGA, or cost per guest acquired. What are you actually paying to get a guest right now? This is really important. A really simple way to do this right now is, if you are running ads, just divide your spend by the number of new guests. So let's say this is at $13. Now let's say your monthly marketing budget is $4,000. Let's say you have an average of 200 new guests each month. This is really easy to find if you're using something like OpenTable, but most reservation tools should show you this. You may also look in your POS. Now, just so we have a complete picture here, I'm going to just quickly fill in some numbers. So let's say your restaurant has 80 seats. You're open 10 hours a day. Your average turn time is, let's say, just over an hour, 1.25. And then this gives you a theoretical max in terms of what your actual capacity is. This is important because it helps you answer the question, how much of this thing am I actually using? Now, we'll come back to this in a moment, but before that, I just kind of want to go down here to this section, the owner's profit section. I think that this is really important because it helps you understand if the juice is worth the squeeze. It shows you the actual money that hits your pocket, not revenue, actual profit. So now at 80K a month, after food, labor, and fixed costs, your net profit is 7K per month. That's 84K a year. Now at your goal, 100K a month, your net profit jumps to 15,000 per month. That's $180,000 a year. The difference is $8,000 more per month, or $96,000 more per year. And it's not revenue, it's actual money in your pocket. And this is why the math matters. You're not chasing 20K more in revenue, you're chasing 96K more in annual profit. When you see it that way, spending 3K or 5K a month on marketing to get there feels less like an expense and more like a no-brainer trade or investment. Now, let's look at how you can actually get there without blowing up your budget. So let's click over to the scale up path. And so here we have 4 different scenarios. At $13 per guest, you're already profitable on day one. Break even, This is the max you could spend and still not lose any money on the first visit. Jay Abraham has this famous saying, break even today so that you can break the bank tomorrow. But ideally, we want to capture as much as we can on visit one, or at least within the first 30 days of their first visit. These are for when you're willing to invest up front and recover on repeat visits. This only really makes sense if your lifetime value metrics support this. And here's the part I love. This is the phase scale up. I created this because I have found that many restaurant owners' expectations don't necessarily match reality, especially when it comes to an ad budget. Like they're like, oh, our ad budget is, $1,000, and they expect that to grow their revenue by like $50,000. I've seen it happen, but we want to be much more measured in our approach. It also helps you scale up in a phased way so that instead of jumping from say 4K to 10K overnight, you ramp up. In phase one, we test and learn. And here you can also put in the number for your different scenarios. So let's say you're going for break even to begin, right? You can put in 2. Now this says day 1 P&L. That's because you are breaking even, right? But if you know up here that you can get a guest for $13, then you can go ahead and put in your actual. And that's when the magic really happens. But at any rate, in phase one, we don't spend the entirety of the budget because we're testing and learning. In phase two, we scale what works. Phase three, we optimize. And then at phase four, we're at the actual budget that is necessary to reach your target. Each phase shows you exactly how many guests you'll get and what you'll spend. This is how you grow without ad spend sticker shock and without betting the farm on something unproven. Last thing, and I actually think this might be the most important, is this constraint map. So there's a famous book called The Goal by Eli Gujarhan or something, I can't pronounce his name, but this book is essentially a parable that demonstrates the theory of constraints. And all the theory of constraints is that in an organization at any one time, there's only one dominant constraint that is throttling progress, or in our case, revenue, right? It's like it's a bottleneck in the flow of revenue from the market to your business's bank account. The key insight from this theory is that you want to allocate all of your resources to solving that one bottleneck at a time. Everything else is noise. This tells you what your primary constraint is, the one bottleneck you should fix before anything else. In this example, it says ready to scale. That means the math works. There's no major bottleneck. We just need to spend more on acquisition. But look at the diagnostic scores below here. Each constraint gets checked. Economics, are you profitable on day one? Green check. Capacity, do you have room? Green check. Budget, can you afford to hit your goal? Yellow, barely covers the gap. Awareness, are enough people discovering that you even exist? Retention, are guests coming back? And then frequency, are they coming back often enough? Green check. Most restaurant owners I find are trying to fix everything at once. This shows you which one thing to focus on. Your constraint might be different, but if retention is red, you're filling a leaky bucket. If capacity is maxed, you need more seats, or you need to open more locations before more marketing. Knowing what your constraint is kind of the whole game. So anyways, that's the growth planner. Fill in your numbers, see your owner's profit, identify your constraint. Now, if you want help putting this into practice, if you want someone to look at your specific numbers and help you figure out exactly where to focus, that's what the diagnostic call is for. It's 20 minutes. We'll look at your numbers together, identify your biggest constraint, and you'll walk away with a clear next step, whether you work with us or not. And there's a link right below this video to book that now. And either way, I hope this calculator gives you some clarity. Cheers.